What's up, everybody? Welcome to System Crafters Live. I'm David Wilson, and we're back again with another not-so-weekly stream where we get together as a community and talk about whatever topic I've come up with for the week. And here we go, as Auntie says. No music. I hear the music. I don't know what you're talking about, Cal. All right, let me just dial the volume down. There we are. Okay, that's much better, I think. So, hello, everyone. Sorry that I have not been streaming that much recently. Things have been a little bit wild in System Crafters land, not really in the community, but just in my life, let's say. So it's been difficult to get on the streams recently. Also, you know, just in general, the world is changing a lot in terms of technology. I'm not going to talk about the other things that are going on in the world. There's just plenty of things happening there too. But point being, there's a lot changing in technology, and it kind of just, you know, shakes the foundations of everything. In a lot of ways. I'm sure that some of you know what I mean. Cal says, Hail Eris. Yes, that's where we're going. We're just going straight to Discordianism now because everything's crazy and nothing makes any sense. So we might as well just worship some fake goddess of chaos, right? I think that sounds better than the alternative, which is just to cry about the state of humanity. Maybe I'm just being cynical. I don't know. Anyway, I can't even see, like, how many people are on the stream right now. Can I see where the stream is? I imagine it's not that many because it's been a while, and people typically, you know, they stop coming if you don't stream, which makes a lot of sense, actually. Weird. Why am I not seeing... Oh, I didn't connect the restream. No wonder I didn't see Benoit's message. Let me connect that. I'm very happy to report that Livecrafter is working after I updated it to the latest version of Sigil, so at least we don't have that problem to deal with today. So I see Benoit in the YouTube chat. Hey, Benoit. And Software Tools over in the YouTube chat says maybe a little of both. Yes, probably so. Let me go over to the IRC chat side. Let's see. Hello to Infreak, Cal, Vizzle, Auntie, Morgan. Let's see. Leonix, Zororg. Tenho, Erky, and Julian, thank you all for being here. Appreciate all of you. Yes, I'm alive. I'm sort of surviving, you know, best I can, doing what I can here. Tenho says, "Woo, System Crafter stream, something good for a change. Been migrating the stupid Trivi vulnerability in our CI/CD systems. What is that? I haven't heard about that. It's kind of funny because I just wrote my own CI/CD system." So I probably should know what this issue is. Excuse me. So yeah, is the music volume okay? Can people hear it? You can't right now because it's like in between tracks, but I imagine that it will come back up in a moment. You'll tell me if you can hear it. Let's see. All right. I'm alive. Cough. Yes, I was coughing. Okay, cool. Yes, I don't know. So the thing that happens around this time of year in Athens is that a lot of dust blows in from the Sahara Desert. I don't know how that happens. I mean, I know that we're kind of close in proximity to Africa, but somehow dust blows in from the Sahara Desert and it covers everything in dust. And anybody who has allergies like me just gets really affected by it. So my eyes and my throat are totally jacked up right now. So if I'm coughing in the stream, I just blame the dust from the Sahara Desert, which sounds like a complete BS reason, but it's true. Somehow it's true. What was the other thing I saw in the chat? Zorak says, is this Emacs inside Tmux? Yes, it is. Auntie says, that dust even goes to Brazil? Really? Wow. Yes. Jeez. How can it go that far? It's like just clouds of dust flying across the world. Fantastic. All right, so what's going on in the world aside from all the other crazy things that I alluded to that are happening right now? March 20th, 2026. 20th, 320. I don't even have the video link right now. It's crucial for rain in the Amazon. Infreaks has been looking at Sigil and see a UI, which is from a C wrapper. Looks nice. Have you created anything with it yet? Which UI? Nothing that's actually like a UI framework per se. I mean, I got a web UI framework, but and there's a terminal UI framework. I don't really have much with that yet. I could probably show you like the demo of that, but it's not super interesting at the moment. And I found that it's a little bit slow, which is, I guess, to be expected with a garbage collected language. Thank you, Ati. Peter has a new blog post about Guix. Let me pull that up. So, snamelit.com. Is it www? Is that why we got to use the actual domain? There we go. Okay, so blog. Install Guix on MacBook 12. Wow. Is that the one we're looking for? On MacBook 12? Old Intel MacBook 12. You know, I actually have a couple of these around that I should probably put something on. That's cool. One of them I had installed Nix on like 12 years ago. So I know that things like that can be installed on it. All right. Peter wrote a blog post about how to install Guix on an old MacBook. Awesome. That's great. Peter's here in the chat, right? I think I saw him before. I saw him in the IRC anyway, I think. No, he's not in the chat yet. Anyway, anything else? Anybody know anything else is going on? I haven't really been paying attention to things other than just what's in the very narrow sphere of my view these days. Neiman.who. Hey, Peter. I'm watching the stream on it. Nice. That's a nice looking font on this blog. I got LASIK surgery. I wish I could get that. Geek System 1 month later. Good overview on Geek State from Nix user. Okay, that's interesting. Interesting post about someone who switched to Geeks. Let's see. Mailing lists, subreddit. Debugging is an unpleasant experience. Yes, I agree with that. Just scanning through here. Non-existent variables. Circular dependencies. Cornucopia of styles. Sure. That's because Geeks is constantly evolving. So there's a lot of stuff that is not really consistent over time. A lot of code patterns that have been evolving over the years. Okay, that's a great post, actually. It's very, very long. It's not great because it's long. It's great because it's got a lot of detail. I mean, look at all that. NVIDIA. I hope he's not linking to the... Good. It's to the really old article that's on the old System Crafters Wiki that doesn't work anymore. Or that isn't accurate anymore. It's still out there. It's not maintained. Another blog post from a user who switched to Geeks. All right, cool. And what was yes. So it's codeberg.org/Tasjin/Reka. Yeah, this also seems really interesting. So Tasjin's someone who hangs out in the System Crafters IRC, and he's been working on a wrapper for the River window manager. So if you've not heard of River, River is a Wayland compositor that's written in Zig, the Zig programming language. It started off as its own Wayland compositor, like a tiling window manager, but they are gradually moving to a new design where the River compositor is kind of like an API layer that is above Wayland, and then you can build other apps on top of it. So that's what's being done here, is basically we're wrapping the River compositor with Emacs to do window management. And it's nice to see a screenshot of that here. I'm enchanted by this bar. Is that? Oh, that's the Emacs tab bar. So it looks like some old like window maker stuff or something, but it's actually just Emacs. But we have an actual window, Firefox window, in a buffer or a window for Emacs, it seems, on the PGTK build. This is another swing at making a Wayland-based EXWM-like experience. The other is EWM, which we've talked about before, which I still haven't tried yet, but I know Big Edie and some other people have tried it in the System Crafters IRC, and I think it's gone fairly well for them, but I still haven't done it yet. I imagine somebody must have tried to package one of these for Guix by now, so I should probably try it whenever I have a chance to. But anyway, Rekka is another alternative for this, and excuse me. It seems pretty cool, so I might check it out at some point too. Morgan says, are we allowed to ask your views on mandatory age verification? I've literally spent zero time thinking about whether that's a good or a bad thing. It just seems difficult for websites to enforce this. I mean, in general, like, it's not a bad thing to keep kids away from content they shouldn't be seeing on the internet, but I really don't think mandatory age verification is going to be the silver bullet that solves that problem, because there's just a bunch of crap posted on social media every day that you can't really get away from, and all sorts of other weird websites that aren't going to do age verification. So I don't know, man. Like, they're trying to like solve one vector of getting to things that you shouldn't get to, and I think it's just going to make the whole internet more painful. Just like the GDPR pop-ups. This is worse than GDPR pop-ups, obviously, but GDPR like privacy pop-ups or cookie pop-ups or whatever on all the websites you go to. If you're in Europe, I guess in the United States you probably see them too. There's just a major headache, and most people just click through them all the time. I don't really know if they help anybody. So yeah, it's just another one of those things where they just try to legislate some kind of control over things on the internet, and it just becomes a headache for everyone. Peter says, I think it's about the laws to force that in the OS and not just the internet. That's insane. What are they gonna do? Outlaw an OS where you can just kind of like not compile that part of the OS, like a Linux distribution or something? Do you think OpenBSD is gonna put age verification checks inside the OS? That's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Yeah, it just seems like not really good for the actual functioning of the internet and computers. However, one thing we always see is a gradual push towards people using more locked down devices. So not having the choice of using whatever operating system you want on the computer that you bought, but being given a device that has an OS that you can't change, software that you can't really work around, whatever. Like basically just like the what would you call it? Like the iOSification of computing, or the Chromebookification of computing. I don't know. Cal says, why won't anyone think of the children? Yes, I don't know that they're really thinking of the children in this case. I don't know, man. Okay, what was this? What was I pasting in here? Yes, the checkout, the Emacs Wayland compositor. I can't type anymore. Called Rekka. I don't know how it's pronounced. I don't really care. You know, it's just 4 letters. I can say it however I want, can't I? Let's see. Big Edie says, if they prevented from installing things like Linux, I think it would have been done considerable damage to their development as programmers, and probably made for less skilled programmers today. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter now, does it? Because AI is going to do all the programming. So who cares if there are skilled programmers anymore? We're all like dinosaurs at this point. We're a dying breed. We're just waiting for the meteor to hit the earth so that we can all be extinguished and let the computers do all the writing of their own code from now on. And unfortunately, I'm just going to show you more of that today. So I'm contributing to the problem here. Morgan says, if current price trends continue, there won't be any traditional general purpose computers anyway. I agree with that. And if you look at the latest release from Apple, the new MacBook Neo, we're definitely leaning into this idea that you don't really need a computer anymore. It's basically just a glorified phone with a bigger screen and a keyboard attached to it. I mean, I'm being very reductive by saying that, but really that's a minimal computer that is intended to be used with apps and things that are mostly, you know, doing things on the internet. So it's not really a computer that's meant for you to be productive as an individual, but a person who is connected to the matrix. The matrix being the cloud, you know, not the matrix like the red pill thing. That's kind of a wacky idea. Let's see. Julian says they already have some kind of age verification stub in System D. Yet another reason people are going to be hating System D is they have age verification built into System D. Is that real or is that just like a meme? It's got to be a meme. How are they going to put age verification in System D? When you boot your system, is it going to make you show your driver's license to the camera? Is that what's going to happen? I feel like it's a little bit blurry here. Auntie says, Apple's pushing the Neo product just because it's cheap to produce and you can't change the disk or the memory. Yeah, it's another case where they're selling you an item that you completely depend on them for because you can't do anything to fix it. On the other hand, I don't know if anybody saw this. Let's see, what was this site? iFixit ThinkPad T14. There's a new ThinkPad that got a 10 out of 10 repairability score on iFixit, and apparently it's almost like a framework laptop in terms of the fact that you can go replace parts and fix things. I don't really know much about this. I haven't looked too much into it, but that would be almost enough to get me to buy a ThinkPad again, just because I love ThinkPads in general, but they really disappointed me over the last like 5-10 years with the level of quality. Peter says, I thought the Neo was pretty repairable. I would be surprised if it is. Oh, so the parental accounts and the age verification stuff is actually being built into System D and other things. That's scary. Anyway, I like the idea that there are going to be repairable ThinkPads. I'm guessing these are probably more meant for like IT departments and companies, but I don't know, that's kind of cool. Let's see. All right, let's move on from here because we got things to talk about. Auntie says, yes, you can replace parts, but Lenovo didn't put any effort into quality products, in case or cheap plastic, for example. They were better in the past, but they're not so good anymore. Infreak says Lenovo, Apple are trying to be the modular-like framework. Are they really with the Neo thing? The modules are swappable? That's surprising if that actually is the case. Let's see. The new Lenovo ThinkPad T14 seems to be pretty repairable. Anyway, all right, whatever. Why can't I get a new first level heading? Okay, there we go. All right. Anything else that people remember from the news? I don't know. Maybe we should move on. It's now I now have 1 hour left to ramble. All right. So I guess it was in November. How many months ago was that? Let's see. December, January, February, March. So it's about 4 months. It's been 4 months. I've been working on a project called Sigil. I've talked about it before. People who've been around know about it. It's basically my own scheme implementation. Hey, Anders. And it's kind of a continuation of what I was doing before with the Mesh project. Sigil coin, no, there's no Sigil coin. There's no cryptocurrency here. I'm not going to try to rug pull anybody because I am too lazy to even do that. Anyway, Sigil is basically a scheme implementation, but kind of with inspiration from other places like Janet, Clojure, etc. I just made it because I wanted to, because I like making programming languages and tools, and the introduction of Opus 4.5 last November is kind of what spawned this whole thing, because the quality of that LLM and also Claude Code were so good that it seemed possible for me to try to basically revive the Mesh project and kind of recreate it from scratch and see how far I can get with it. Turns out I could get pretty far, and I have gotten pretty far. I keep going back to it because there's so many things that I kind of want to do with it, and it's kind of gotten a little bit crazy at this point, like the amount of stuff that's in there. And I kind of want to just talk about like the state of it today. Not because I want people to use it necessarily, but to make a bigger point, which is there's a lot of hate toward AI assisted coding, or even let's call it vibe coding. I don't like that term, but really it's just, letting the AI write the code for you like 99 to 100% of the way. There's a lot of hate towards that right now, justifiably. I'm kind of worried about where things are going to go with the software engineering career as a whole, but I think it's kind of foolish to be on the other side of that and be like, oh, I'm not going to touch that because I think it's bad and blah, blah, blah. Yes, that's your right, but at the same time, you should probably get to know the tools because this is where everything's headed. So I've spent kind of a significant amount of time building some expertise using these tools, and I've been doing it by building something that is quite non-trivial, which is an entire programming language ecosystem plus applications that are built with it. And it's gone quite well. I don't really want to use any other programming language, even though I could use pretty much anything if I'm going to use an LLM anyway. But for me, I feel it's an opportunity to use my creativity and my taste and style to make something of my own, let's say, even though I didn't write it. Claude wrote it. I don't really care that Claude wrote it. The point is, it's my vision. It's my the way that I want the software to be written and deployed, basically. And it has gotten to the point where I can write the kinds of applications that I want and deploy them very easily. So it's accomplishing the goal that I had for Mesh originally, and now with Sigil. It's kind of conflicting in a way because you can see how well AI can write code now. Like, it could do quite well. It could do quite well at debugging. It can do quite well at system administration. I'm a little bit unsure of what to do as far as like the whole system crafter sphere of things, just because much of the learning needed to do stuff that we would do here is not necessary if you just want to like make something. Like, obviously learning the code and getting good at writing code yourself or crafting a system yourself is a good thing to do if it's like a hobby for you and you want to enjoy doing it, but it's not necessary. I think AI could basically do all that for you. But the flip side of that is that it could be a very powerful tool to get where you want to be faster and better than you would have, especially if you have very limited time. Like if you're a person who works a full-time job and you have a family and you don't really have time to hack on projects all day and night and weekend. So anyway, I'm rambling a little bit, but basically what I'm trying to say is I've kind of I've accepted the situation for what it is, and I'm taking it to its logical extreme. I'm trying to find ways to leverage this as much as possible and see what I can get out of it. And part of that is by using this tool set that I put together, and I'm going to show you a bit more about that today. And you'll get to decide for yourself whether it is valid or not, or if it's slop or not. I don't think it's slop anymore. I think I put a lot of time. Now, obviously, a person could say, okay, AI wrote all that for me. Yes, AI did write all this for me, but I spent a considerable amount of time getting it to do that stuff and thinking about what it should do and telling it what it's doing wrong and thinking about how to improve the quality and yada, yada, yada. So there's kind of like a symbiosis here. You know, you have something that does a lot of the writing of the code for you and some of the debugging and thinking, etc. But also you're the person who is, driving the process. So there's a lot to it. Anyway. So Honor says, hate, would not say that, but some expectations spread about it being replaced expertise. It doesn't. You should look at certain places on the internet. There's a lot of hate. There is a lot of hate, which is fine. I mean, people will hate it. You can't really control that. People hate everything. So, whatever. And you are always responsible for the code that you deliver. Yes. There's a whole other sidebar to talk about the effects of AI-assisted coding or vibe coding in a job. Maybe I should talk about that one day because there's a lot to say about that. I've seen a lot now. All right, anyway, so Sigil. We're up to the last released version is 0.7. I've got 0.8 like ready to go right now. If I have time on the stream, I might even ship it here, but I've been building a lot of stuff at the same time, which I'll show you in a second, and I'm kind of waiting to catch all the bug fixes and other little features and tweaks that needed to be added to facilitate some of the things that I'm making. You can read through the release notes for the previous stuff. There's a lot of interesting stuff in there. I'm not going to go through that for you right now because there's no point. The more important thing is looking at the Codeberg org for Sigil, and I've got quite a few things in here now that were not there before. Obviously, the Sigil repo itself, which is the repository for the compiler, the language, and a lot of the packages, which are basically all kinds of stuff that a lot of this will probably have to get split out into individual repos at some point. I kind of made it as a mono repo so that it was easier at first to write all of this at the same time and make fixes, like cross-cutting fixes across everything. But we've reached a level of stability now, I think, that means that the core runtime and compiler has less it needs to change that affects everything else. So the core is getting to be pretty stable, and really a lot of the work is going on in the higher level libraries. So things like the WebSocket library, or like the XMPP client library, or the text user interface library. I mean, I've got libraries for like Telegram APIs. I added a foreign function interface, dynamic foreign function interface recently, where you can do things like create bindings to native libraries, like for Raylib here. There's a Raylib library. Where is the subdirectory for that? Raylib graphics. So you can go look at the graphics library, and all this stuff here is basically just wrapping the C functions from the Raylib library, if you can actually see this. So dynamic FFI is in there now. That actually was kind of interesting because it's a C library that's embeddable. So I embedded a C library that already exists, some open source software. I can't remember the name of it at the moment, but that's built in as a, well, it's not really built in. It's another library called Sigil FFI, but it's something that doesn't require libFFI as a dependency. So I'm trying to do things in a way that do not require dependencies, dependency libraries as much as possible, unless it's something like Raylib. Obviously you need that. Infreak says you're using graphics audio. I have a different thing for that. So there's and you mentioned that before. I'm using some of the Sokol libraries in another part of the code here. In fact, the fact that you're listening to music right now on the stream is from the Sigil audio library, which wraps the Sokol audio.h C library. So basically this is a header-only audio library that's made by Flu. What's his name? It'll come to me. Anyway, very talented C programmer who writes a lot of cool libraries. I basically wrapped that in Sigil audio and made it so that you can like play OGG files using Sigil. And the stream is using my Livecrafter project right now, which is all written in Sigil. So all the things like the chat shows up and the title up there and the little text down here below, all that's coming from Sigil. Yes, I am using Sokol, a few of the Sokol libraries. Anyway, I digress. The point is, there's a ton of stuff in here now. And it's gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, like I had fun making a language and libraries. I should probably start making some real stuff with it. So as time went on, I realized that a lot of things that I want to make are kind of related to the creative projects I have in mind, or really just facilitating things for system crafters. So there's a couple of them that are interesting. One is called Easel, and it is a program slash library slash MCP server for generating images with Sigil, especially for things like thumbnails or making logo images, etc. So if you were to go to the examples folder here and go to the sclive thumbnail.sigil file, this is actually the, excuse me, this is the file that was used today. The text is not the same, but this is the file that was used to generate the thumbnail that's on today's stream. You probably didn't notice it. It looks basically the same. There's a couple of little minor details that you will see if you actually pay close attention that are different, but the thumbnail for today's stream was generated with the code here. Now this code looks a little bit sloppy, but that's because it was generated by AI and it's doing the best it can to use this library. But basically the idea is that we have a library that wraps Cairo and is able to generate pretty decent looking images. I can't pull the image up on the screen because of the, it's on a different computer. But that's one thing. And the fact that it's an MCP server, excuse me. I don't know how many of you have heard about MCP. It's a Model Context Protocol. Who pays attention to thumbnails? Well, YouTubers do, but probably you don't. Those of you who watch System Scrapper streams, you've seen so many of the same thumbnail format by this point, you just gloss over it. You don't even realize it anymore. Anyway, MCP servers are almost like language server protocol servers where any program, in theory, can pull in an external process that speaks a particular protocol, a JSON RPC protocol, to interact with it and to get something out of it, right? So only use MCP for reverse engineering. What does that mean? So an MCP server is effectively just a way to give an AI agent access to certain tools in a more convenient way for it to use them, instead of having to figure out how to shell out to a command line interface or call an API directly. So it's really just a way to kind of surface functionality to an agent. So a lot of the things that I'm working on right now have usually a couple components. One is like a command line interface, and the other is like a built-in MCP server that can be invoked. And Easel is one example of that. I probably can't show it very easily, oh boy, right now. Maybe I should try. But the idea is that this MCP server should be able to be used to generate, for the agent to understand how to generate a thumbnail or an image with Easel inside of a chat session, and then just do it and then show it to you as it goes. Maybe I'll try to show that in a minute because it's a good example of it, and it shouldn't require too much in the way of prerequisites. Anyway, so there's other projects that are like that, where it's something that serves a purpose. There's another one called Montage, which I'm actually pretty excited about. I haven't got to use it yet because I haven't made any videos, but this is a Sigil library that kind of wraps the MLT framework so that it can do video editing with Sigil, like generating videos effectively. It does this by exporting an XML format that the MLT framework or the Melt command line app can read and then use to generate or preview a video with whatever you want in it. And what's great about Scheme is that there is a way to template XML called SXML. So you basically have SXML that can template various parts of your video creation, like text overlays or any kind of edits you need to make. So anyway, this is going to be a pretty cool thing. It will also have an MCP server, but it doesn't currently, because this is probably, it says 2 weeks ago. It feels like it was longer ago than that, but maybe it was just 2 weeks ago. Things move fast in this area. But that's a pretty interesting thing. Another thing that I did just today was I created a Forjio client library and a CLI called FJO, because it's short, which is basically a command line interface to Forjio/Codeberg. Auntie says, are you using Montage for video editing? I will be at some point. And Peter says, MCP is a great feature to put behind a paywall to force people's wallets open. Well, if you write it as a local standard IO MCP server, then it's perfectly fine. Anyway, this makes it really easy to interact with things on Forjio/Codeberg, but also as an MCP server. So if you want to list issues or repos or create things on Forjio, then basically you can just wire this thing up and give it a token. You have to put a token into your project folder so that it can use that, but you can basically do anything you need to do. And I've been using it for managing the repositories under the Sigil org, so it actually does have utility. Kiln, which is pretty cool, which is basically my own CI system. One day, I was so tired of the delay it took for the Woodpecker CI on Codeberg to start a job. It took like 45 minutes before it started the job. I'm like, you know what? I've been thinking about setting up my own CI server for a while. Why don't I just like make my own? It seemed like it would be simple to do. It actually ended up being a bit more difficult than I thought, but it is a real thing. Oh, and it has crashed at some point, so you're not gonna get to see it right now, which is fantastic. Let me see if I can jog it a little bit here. I don't know what happened with that. Oh, okay. There's a code issue when the last time it tried to push. Yeah, it's because Nginx can't get to it. Peter says, it makes no sense. You can point Claude to the API docs and let it generate a local MCP server, but SaaS providers do it anyway. Yes, you can make your own MCP server for anything. Also, it's pretty easy for Claude to just call any random API because it understands them pretty well. So it's a... people who want to make you pay for an MCP server, okay, let me just put this out there. Software has no value anymore. Software has no monetary value. Let's say 90% of software has no monetary value. There are certain softwares that do have value that cannot be easily replicated with AI, but most software that people have been paying for, like software as a service or programs that you download from somewhere, they have no value anymore because a person can easily just go in a day or two and make their own version of what they want that they were paying you for and then not have to pay you anymore. Obviously, they're paying the AI provider to give them the tokens to make the thing. However, once they have it, then they kind of have it. They can just keep using it so long as it doesn't rot for some reason. So software doesn't really have much value anymore. So Peter makes a good point where they want you to pay for using a particular MCP server, but you really don't need to unless there's something that's kind of hidden behind an HTTP server somewhere that you can't get to. So anyway, that's another interesting aspect of all this is happening right now. Software doesn't really have value anymore. That requires its own video. Anyway, if this runs again, I will put it back up. Is this interesting so far? Am I just rambling and nobody really cares? So anyway, Kiln is pretty interesting as a project. It's like Laminar. If you've heard of Laminar before, I've talked about it a few times. Laminar is a very simple CI system that just uses bash scripts to run jobs. Kiln is very similar in that regard, but it will eventually use Sigil scripts to run jobs. It's just, a lot of this is things that I know that I'm going to be the only one who uses, but one second. But I think it's cool to show it off anyway because, I don't know, I'm putting effort into making this stuff not suck. I'm putting effort into making it be usable for other people, even if nobody does use it. Mainly because it does serve a creative purpose for me as well. So what can I say? Publish it. Deploy it again. Let's go. I'm yelling at Claude on the other computer here. Let's make sure that Claude doesn't kill the stream. Okay, Peter says SaaS vendors are preying on non-technical people. That's just another way. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so what else? So there's a few other things I'm working on, which are kind of meant to be for personal productivity. One is called Bureau. It's an MCP server that's meant for interacting with Fastmail. So if you use Fastmail for your email and calendar, which if you want to pay for an email provider, I would think that Fastmail is probably the best one. I mean, people like Proton also, but it's harder to use that, I think. I don't know if they have an API either, but Fastmail has really good APIs for accessing your mail and your calendar without actually having to download the mailbox. So I made this MCP server that connects to my Fastmail email and calendar and can surface that as tools inside the agent so it can do things like triage my email box, tell me what the latest emails are, remind me of things that are coming, reply to emails, etc. Pretty useful stuff. It's easy to get it to just kind of hammer through your mailbox and clean up all the crap that's in there that you haven't looked at for years, like me. So it's kind of useful. These are not very complicated. You know, I'm just kind of calling out to JSON-based APIs. So like the email API here, I actually have a JMap library. JMap is the JSON-based email protocol that is supported by Fastmail. I think they actually designed it, but I have a library for that, and then Bureau basically uses that library to go through and read and manage email. So that's kind of cool. Peter says Anthropic made that standard is pretty loosey-goosey as standards go. You mean MCP? Yeah, for sure. Auntie says, which docs are you using to build your own MCP? Is there a standard that you need to follow that's going to be understandable by Claude? Yeah, there's a spec or something out there. Let me log into my SSH key here. And it kind of knows it already. I have an MCP library in Sigil that does all that stuff. So really at this point, it's kind of like working at a higher level. Come on, prompt me for the passphrase. Are you gonna prompt me? Maybe you're done already. So yeah, it's basically something that is already supported in a library in Sigil. Am I still seeing YouTube chat? MCP was the main bad guy in Tron. I thought that was what's his face? Jared Leto. Auntie says, so nice, you can call the Sigil MCP library from other Sigil apps. Well, yeah, you basically write an app that exposes an MCP server using the Sigil MCP library. That's in the main Sigil repo. If you go look at the main Sigil repo, under packages, I should also show the Sigil MCP server too, because that actually is quite useful. Sigil MCP, so it's basically a library for building MCP servers. Master control program, okay, sorcerer, that makes sense. That makes sense why that would be the bad guy. Anywho, it's a library, and if you're using Claude, you don't really have to know how to use it because it figures it out for you, which is the way things go. So yeah, that's Bureau. There's also Folio, which might be interesting to people here on the channel. It's basically a to-do list / Zettelkasten MCP server that uses Markdown, but you don't edit the files yourself. The agent does it through tools in the MCP server. So basically, it can manage projects with to-do lists and also note files that have crosslinks. So the idea is basically to give your agent a more robust memory and also project management capabilities, and then ways to query and filter all that stuff. I haven't really used it a whole lot yet, but it's going to be useful, I think. And also it works across separate repos. So it's all just markdown files you can check in, which means that someone else who's collaborating with you could also have the same Folio MCP server and then pull up all that stuff using the MCP server. Excuse me. Did it prompt me again and it just took forever for it to get there? Damn. I'm trying to get it to post this. Anyway, let's just move on, all right? There's a couple of things I want to show. But you should keep an eye on this. 1 second. Keep an eye on the Codeberg org, because there's a bunch of packages that are going to show up in a little while, which are basically me stripping out all the things that are in the packages folder here that are kind of standalone and making them separate repos. The eventual goal is to have more of an actual package ecosystem and have things, ship independently without having to kind of do a big monolithic release every once in a while. I don't know. I don't know that anybody's going to use it, but there are tons of Sigil apps. Well, there's a few. Also, if you want to excuse me, hack around on Sigil, the develop repo is the development workspace. It's actually meant for if you use Claude Code, because it has skills to help you set things up. So you basically can just clone this repo, go into it with Claude Code, and just tell it to set up Sigil, and it will install Sigil on your computer and set up the MCP server, and then run sync repos, and it will sync some or all of the repos under the Sigil organization so that you can hack on them locally if you want to. So that's kind of fun. I just put that together today, so I haven't really used it very much, but it did work on this machine. In fact, you'll see it here in this folder. So if you look at it, all the same repos we've been talking about are kind of here at the moment. Anyway, I don't know. Any questions? I don't know. That's just kind of rambling for sure, but hopefully you can kind of see there's a lot has been going on here, and there's a potential for a lot more. I mean, the sky's the limit, really. We could do some really stupid things like make a Wayland compositor or a text editor or whatever, but I kind of don't want to do that. I kind of want to lean more into the direction of figuring out how to leverage AI agents to do more stuff in interesting ways, like system administration, software development, managing a business, managing content creation, all kinds of things of that nature. just to take it to the logical extreme and see what can happen. At the same time, I'm also investigating the use of local open source models, or at least just locally run models, to see if eventually those will be good enough that where I could get rid of things like Claude, because it would be ideal to not have to use proprietary LLMs that are hosted on a server somewhere for various reasons. One of them being nobody wants to be dependent on a company long term, especially if you are using it heavily as a primary tool in your tool set. Let's see. The CI got deployed. There we go. All right, so you can see killing here now. Which hardware says Sorcerer? Well, right now it's just on my Framework 13 laptop, but there's a lot of hardware that's being made now that is more meant for running AI models. So a lot of that stuff will probably become popular for people who want to run local models. It's going to be expensive probably, but it'll be worth it because you won't have to depend on the proprietary providers. Auntie keeps seeing great dark mode, by the way. That must be a meme because he said it more than once. So anyway, you can kind of see, you don't want to look at the failed build, but I've got a kiln build here that passed some time back. Basically, it's just like any other CI system. You have builds that get triggered by pushes or manual triggers or whatever, and you get like the live output from the build. And it actually does update in real time using server sent events. So that's kind of cool that it updates in real time. This is still coming along slowly. I just got Hetzner VM workers working today where it can spin up a VM on Hetzner just for the purpose of running a build and then delete it afterward. Hey, RetroPixel. So that's kind of fun. This will probably, materialize a bit more later, but I kind of want it to be general in the sense that you can build anything with it. It's not just for Sigil stuff, but it's something that can be self-hosted. You basically just copy a binary over to your server where you want to run it, the controller server, and add some configuration files, and you can start running jobs, which is kind of cool. Sorcerer says, any thoughts on the next Mac Studio as an LLM rig? Those things are too damn expensive. There's some new Lenovo ThinkStation. Was it ThinkStation or ThinkCenter? Lenovo ThinkCenter AI. I don't know which one it is. It's the little tiny square server box. It seems pretty beefy for this kind of thing, but I haven't really looked into it yet. Auntie says, Apple hardware isn't great for freedom. That's true. I will add a screenshot at some point, yes. Sorcerer says, which Claude level are you paying for? I'm paying for the Max 200, but I don't really think it's necessary to pay for that unless you're doing like serious letting it run on its own for hours and hours and hours. Like I barely, let's just see. Actually, I think my usage has reset. Yeah, March 27th, that's a week from now. So it's 3% from today basically, but I don't really get to the limit. I should probably drop down to the 100 level again. But anyway, yeah, that's what I'm using. You kind of have to if you're going to use it heavily. Another reason to get off that because it's expensive and it probably will become more expensive later. Okay, so it's, excuse me, 30 minutes to the end of the stream. I wanted to demonstrate what it's like developing Sigil stuff using AI, using the stuff that is available here. First of all, let's make sure the MCP server for Sigil is running. MCP, let's see, Sigil connected. Tell me about JSON encode. So there's an MCP server for Sigil that basically is able to look at all the documentation strings and other documentation that's built in to Sigil. And the tools are provided to the agent. It already knows it can look up things about Sigil using the tools. So it's looking up the JSON encode function inside of Sigil. I'm going to tell it to just go ahead and look up anytime it wants. It's going to find that it's defined in the Sigil JSON library. In fact, you can expand this and kind of see all the information that it's getting back from the MCP server. It's basically code examples, everything else. And it tells you more about it. So for a programming language that has not existed up until now, is based on schemes. So the model can kind of infer a lot about the kind of code that needs to be written. But for the specifics of the language itself, It's good to have an MCP server that can explain how to use it, especially the specifics of the libraries for various different things like HTTP servers, JSON, YAML, anything else. So the MCP server makes it possible to get all this information. Tell me how to define a struct in Sigil. I think it will try to look that up. Yeah, define struct, it found struct in Sigil are defined with define struct. Yeah, so basically it figures it all out pretty easily just by looking at the docs. Sorcerer says, if you want to beat that with local, you're going to need a lot of RAM on your GPU. Yeah, you're going to need a lot of GPU in general. Anyway, we've got what we need to get it to write some things. What I wanted to try to do today is to write a library for accessing the Discourse forum, because I would like to be able to automate some things related to the Discourse forum, like adding people to groups, reading messages, getting statistics about things, etc. So I thought it'd be interesting to try to write a library for Discourse, and then to write a program that provides an MCP server and possibly even a command line interface on top of that, so that someone like me who maintains a Discourse forum can more easily do that job just through either the command line or through an AI agent. So I want to create a new library. In fact, I probably need a couple things here. Let me see. Excuse me. I want to set up, first of all, build and set up the FJO MCP server inside of this folder. And then while it's doing that, I'm going to try to grab a Codeberg token that I can use for this purpose. So let me just hide the screen real quick so I don't expose tokens. I might just have to do it anyway, but let's see. Whoops, wrong one. That's the one. All right, let me just go quickly grab something real quick. Let's see, settings, applications. And we want repository read and write, organization read and write. That should be it. Misc read and write, let's say. I don't know. I'm going to generate a token, and then I'm going to copy that token. I'm going to go drop it into the folder. .env-fjo. I'll be done in just a moment. Okay, I think I got it. Now I'll pull the screen back up. All right, there we are. Now let's see where we are with this. Let's see, sources there and Guix is available. Sigil isn't installed yet. It is installed. We installed it. Sigil is in .sigil/bin. Let's see how good. Okay, so it's already installed. Build FJO and configure its MCP server. Let's see how far that gets. All right, we're gonna let it do its thing here for a minute. So why am I doing this? Oh, because eventually we're gonna need to create the repository and whatnot. But I had started writing a prompt. Let me just go ahead and pop open another Claude in here while it's working away on the other task. All right, so I want to make a new Sigil Discourse library, excuse me, which is a client to the Discourse forum API. The goal is to use for user group management, creating and reading topics in messages, and general administrative tasks. This library will be used to create an MCP server that will enable an AI agent to manage a discourse forum. Enter plan mode, and let's come up with a plan to implement this. All right, let's let it chew on that for a minute. All right, FJO is built. Let's see. Have you set up the mcp.json file to point to that binary? I've already created the in file. Let's just put it like that. All right. Let's see, where are we? Okay. All right, that looks correct. Alda says, are there any instructions available somewhere on the internet to integrate Claude or other AI client to Emacs? Just search it. And I don't mean that in a sarcastic way. I mean, like, there's a bunch out there already. I don't use it in Emacs. In fact, I use Emacs very little right now. I'm mostly just in the Claude interface in Tmux all day. And I use Emacs for very specific things like putting in my GPG key passphrase and occasionally reading a file and occasionally looking at Git status, but I really don't do a whole lot in Emacs, which I know sounds crazy. But yes, there are a lot of options out there. Agent Shell is one of them. GPTel, a lot of them. A lot of solid options that have been there for a while. All right, so let me quit this session and then go back. In fact, Claude, resume. Which session was I in anyway? Yes, use this MCP server. Yes, that one. Anyway, all right, so list the repositories in the Sigil org on Codeberg. Let's just see if it can do that using the MCP server. All right, repos list Sigil, don't ask again. And then boom, it gets the list of repos back and also the tags on the repos, which are interesting for being able to do operations on subsets of your repositories. So there you go. We have an MCP server that can talk to Codeberg. All I did was just set it up. I built obviously the server and I set up in the mcp.json file. If I can get back to that. All right, and yeah, it's basically just an entry here for FJO, and it points to the folder where I built the binary for that, and I give it the serve command, which is special to the FJO itself. And there's a file that I also created in this folder that has the token in it, but I don't put that here, obviously, because I don't want people to see my token. That's all that's really needed, and then there you go. You've got access to everything here. We can create issues, you can review PRs, do all kinds of things. This thing is still going through and reading what we have. It's probably looking at FJO and the Forjio package as an example of what you can do for a library, which is good. I didn't tell it to do that, so it just kind of figured that out on its own. And eventually it will come back with a plan for creating that library. It probably won't take very much longer. In the meantime, I probably should go to the forum and create a token of some sort, but probably it's going to have to tell me what kind of token to create. So we'll have to wait on that for a second, probably, until it can tell me. But with the ability for Claude to go investigate the whole code base in the context of this folder path, plus what's available inside of the MCP server, it does a pretty good job of figuring out how to write and architect code in Sigil. And I'm pretty comfortable doing that now. Like it makes quite a lot of progress. You can see, like, I've created like 5 or 6 new repos this week for things I'm trying to do. And I don't know, it did pretty well. Come on now, let's get done with the job here. How many files do you want to read? We're looking at the HTTP client library now. And even looking at Bureau. Peter says, but it's not very useful as they work pretty independently. OpenCode and Claude do their own thing in a terminal and need very little interaction with an IDE or editor. Yeah, it wasn't the case 6 months ago. 6 months ago, having an IDE integration for Claude Code actually made sense because sometimes you would be editing code or at least reviewing code changes inside of an editor. But now, I don't know, like I look at the code changes in the diff that is provided inside the terminal app here because the diffs are pretty good. But I don't know, I don't really use the IDE for much. So I'm really mostly in the terminal all day. I still need to talk about my setup for accessing Claude Code remotely using WireGuard and Mosh and my own personal server, because that does give me the ability to use Claude Code for my phone, which has become a way to be quite productive while I'm like basically washing dishes and monitoring what Claude is doing while working on a project or like fixing bugs or something. The funny thing is that Anthropic has started adding features to Claude Code to do remote access to your Claude Code instance. Like now there's like the remote control command where you can connect this terminal to the Claude app on your phone and then interact with it remotely. So that's kind of nice. You can do that without having to have a freaky setup. I haven't really used it yet. They also have the ability to connect like Telegram accounts or Discord accounts to Claude now to talk to it like a chatbot and control things. So they're starting to do more of the OpenClaw like things where there's like, you know, scheduled tasks and useful functionality that you would want from something like OpenClaw. So probably people will stop talking about OpenClaw pretty soon because Claude will just eat everything, which is basically what happens. Because like I said, software has no value. If someone makes a good piece of software, somebody else is just going to come right around and copy it tomorrow, basically. So why am I saying that? Because why not do that yourself and just use an LLM of some sort to write your own software that you want to use without having to worry about what anybody else is doing. I know it seems ridiculous, but why not? Come on, Claude. I know you're thinking hard, but let's be done. I have all the context I need. Let me write the plan. Excuse me. The interaction patterns for using Claude Code have changed so much over the last 6 months also that the things that people would do back then, you don't even really do them anymore. In fact, I would say it's a lot easier to use Claude Code now than it used to be. Plan is written. A few questions before finalizing. Yes, ask away, please. Should the MCP server project be named? Following the FJO pattern of short names, DSC, Discourse, MCP. That's a good question. I have a lot of very evocative names for the projects in everything, like Montage and Kiln and Folio and Bureau. Like, let's see. Think of something that matches the naming scheme of the other MCP servers that you see in this folder. And implement both projects now or start with just the library. Why not do both? Which Discourse API area should we prioritize for the initial implementation? Everything. Why not? Because it's just going to do it all immediately. Just everything. Why not just do it? It probably won't be 100% accurate, but it'll be accurate enough. Julian says we're doomed. Black box LLMs all the way down, basically. I mean, like that's where things are. Give me a good name. I'm trying to think of one also. Agora, maybe. Parlor sounds interesting. Agora is not really a forum. I would say Stoa is more like that because that's the place where they were doing their philosophical discussions and treatises. The Agora is more like a market, I think. Public gathering place. I don't know. Raised platform for public speaking. Rostrum. Just sounds like nostril to me. I don't think I want that as a name. Use the Wu-Tang Clan name generator. I should do that. I mean, by that logic, it would have to be like the Dizza or something, because it's for Discourse. I don't know. Maybe these are too... if it's going to be used as a CLI also, if it has any value in that, which I don't really know. Does it have value as a CLI? I mean, forum is not a bad name if it's supposed to be short for a forum CLI. I'm taking longer to think about a stupid name for a project than I am to actually like do anything with my own thoughts. Let's just go with Parlor here. Why not? It can always be changed easily later, I guess. Now we're gonna make the plan file again and see how far it gets. And I'll use this, by the way. Tell me how to get the API token I need to use the client library. That's a new feature they added recently. This is the first time I've actually used it. I wanted to tell me this. All right. Cool. You need an API key, not a token like Forjio. Here's how to get one. Admin API. Excuse me. All right, let me turn off the screen real quick and I'll do this so that we can actually test it really easily afterward. So give me 1 second. Just hide the screen for a moment. So this will be... And I think on forum, there's a crafter account. Yes, crafter. Yes, crafter. Okay, so I just need the key, and I'm going to pull that up. There's the admin section. I'm almost done, folks. Admin API keys. All right. Add API key, description, Parlor, user level, single user, select the admin user or all users for a global key. All right. Okay, create and get the key. All right, I got a key, Parlor global. I got a key, save the file, get out of there, close the window. All right, I think that's it. Okay, so now I should be able to tell it to go on with the plan mode. All right, here we go. The whole plan. Blah, 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 all the APIs. Yes, it's great. Let's see, corresponding CLI MCP server, Digital Discourse Parlor, okay. Live as sibling directories. We got the client library, authentication, 2 headers. Let's see, URL construction, topic creation quirk. Creating a topic as a post to post.json with a title field. Without title, some endpoint creates a reply. Okay. Private messages. See, it already knows all this stuff. Discourse client. Yes. Discourse topics. Admin functions. Create an invite. Nice, I need that. Then we got Parlor. And yes, T means it's required and it's secret. Yes. Redirects both. Yes. All right, tool modules. Got it. Reference files. All right, cool. I think that's ready to go. I'm just going to tell it to auto accept edits, and in about, I don't know, 5 minutes, it's going to have the whole thing done. And we'll be able to test it really quickly, which is kind of sad, but at the same time, it's great because now I'll have a Discourse library that I can use for things I need to do. So it's just going to start, pumping out a bunch of files very quickly. Step 2, library core client.sigil. Like, it just puts out entire files. Like, it doesn't even try to, like, you know, create a file and then make edits to it. It just, like, makes an entire file all at once, which is kind of insane. All right, the client library. Yeah, so it's writing both of them literally at the same time, not in any particular order, it seems. Call it a startup. Yes. Right. Excuse me. All right, full text search, category management. And the benefit of plan mode is really that it is able to just gather all the information it needs up front so that it doesn't have to go look it up as it's going. That's the reason why it's able to just, like, shoot out all these files immediately. Like, now it says the library is complete. Let me build all the Parlor MCP module tools. It reads some things again, but it doesn't read much. So it kind of knows all the patterns already, and it just starts, you know, creating everything one file at a time. And then it will test it. You should probably add some tests too, though. I'll just tell it when you're done. Also add some tests wherever things are testable. Boolean says, which one do you recommend to interact with LM and Emacs? I don't know. Probably either GPTel or Agent Shell. But I don't use them. I have used GPTel in the past. Let's see. Modub says, where do you use LMs more? Personal project or at work? I use Claude all day, every day for all the coding that I do now. Because at work we have Claude, and at home I have Claude, so it's just Claude, Claude, Claude. If Trev was here, he probably gave up on me. If Trev was here, he would be making fun of me for that. One thing I want to do, though, soon, probably sooner rather than later, is OBS, the software that I use for streaming, actually has a C library that you can bind to and call a lot of the same functions that are used for facilitating the streams and recordings that are possible with the actual OBS software. So I'm kind of interested in integrating actual OBS functionality into the Livecrafter app that I am using for streaming, so that it can be like a completely integrated experience and I can just drive the entire stream from within Livecrafter. Might not be very easy, and it might make the streams more unreliable, but it's an interesting idea. It's something I've been thinking about for a long time. It's just, you know, I don't have time to write all these crazy things that I want to do because it takes time to put them together, but now it's a lot easier. One other thing that is useful for the people who have to do web development in their jobs is there's a built-in Google Chrome extension or Google Chrome MCP server in Claude that makes it easy to... is that gonna work? I don't think Sigil is on the path, so you'll need to, excuse me, put the whole... It's capable of loading up a page and actually interacting with it and looking at the console logs and the network traffic and everything. So if you're trying to like work on a web app and diagnose issues with it, it makes it really easy to just let it do the whole end-to-end job of writing the code or making the fix and then testing it. So yes, it can basically do a lot of your job. Sigil bin not found. It is there. Come on now. What version is it? Excuse me. Are you satisfied now? All right, you're satisfied. You saw that it's there. All right, there you go. All right, now we're building the Discourse library. We'll see how that goes. How much time we got? All right, a few more minutes. I think we'll be able to test it before we leave. You know, streams will be a lot more successful now that I don't have to write the code myself and bumble around the whole time. But I guess that makes it less interesting in some ways. But maybe it's interesting just to see that, you know, things can be accomplished. All right, what we got here? Dictionary literal requires an even number of arguments. That's an easy code fix that we'll figure out. Syntax error in admin.sigil can't use computed expressions as dict literal keys. Yeah, that makes sense. Whoa, hold on now. String to symbol. Just use a string directly as the key. Sometimes you gotta tell it what to do. Morgan says, what is the general success rate for generating something in this scope? First attempt gonna have issues? Not as many as you would think. There's a lot of testing that you have to do still, but it really just depends. Like, I think at the beginning when I was working on Sigil, there was a lot more like going in circles to hold on. Should setting name use an underscore? Making a compiler from scratch, especially the way I was trying to do it, required a lot more kind of like, massaging the output to get it right. But now, with all the corpus of code that's built up for Sigil libraries and the core compiler and everything else, all apps and everything, it's a lot easier for it to get it right the first time. Certain things, like when I was working on Kiln, like managing the processes for the CI runs, it had some issues there. But I don't know, like in most cases, like it will make all the code immediately, and then it will run some things a few times, but usually within like 20 minutes, it's got everything figured out. Across a lot of different domains. Like I've been using it on JavaScript code at work, Docker files, all kinds of stuff. All right, are you gonna finish now? I'm impatient waiting for magic to happen here. It is fast. It can be longer than that too, depending on what's going on, but but generally, if it's something that is pretty easy to test, it just rapidly figures things out. Thinking with high effort. However, recently there's been a lot of outages, and there's definitely a feeling of hopelessness whenever Claude is out and you've come to depend on it. So basically, you feel like you can't do your job anymore, which is not good. What are you thinking about? Why is it taking so long? Another thing I would like to try at some point is get it to do real-time music generation. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I think it's possible. Setting name variable parameter should be use an underscore in its name, or that the dict key should be a literal setting underscore name. Current parameter is named. I'm just wondering if this goes directly to the JSON for the API, and if the API uses a hyphen or underscore. Use whatever it's supposed to use. You know, you have to explain to it how to do its job sometimes. Maybe I was wrong for interrupting it. Come on. But yeah, I kind of reached a lot of what I'm trying to do. Maybe it's drunk too. It might be drunk. Underscores for setting names, so setting underscore name is correct. Yeah, I thought so. Come on. All right, it builds cleanly. We'll see if it works. Another thing I started working on recently is changing the build system of Sigil to do something more like Guix, where you have like pluggable build systems effectively, where you can build different kinds of programs, not just Sigil programs, but maybe normal C programs, etc. That might be interesting. I don't know if it's a good idea. It's just sort of an idea that I had, not to replace Guix obviously, but to do Guix-like things where Sigil could be more standalone and pull in the dependencies that it needs on a system. Add tests, testable parts of pure functions. Can't test API calls. No kidding. Yeah, make the test, but let's just get done. I mean, like, I want to try it. All right, we're going to run the test now. There's a few tests. Okay, that's something. Cool, no problem. That's the Sigil test runner output. Test for the parlor formatting and config logic. Okay, got that. Uh-oh. Unbound variable set env. Look at Sigil env. I should just let it figure it out itself. Where are you searching for it? Set env with a bang. Ah, okay. Good call. Okay, those are passing. All right, so wire up the MCP server into .mcp.json. I've already created the env file for the token. Wadib says, who needs Guix when you can tell Claude to install all your dependencies, basically. Well, the thing is, it does a pretty good job of writing Guix configs too, so if you want to craft your system, you can just let it do it for you. There we go. Those who can't pay Claude, yeah, that's true, that's true. I mean, it is a little bit expensive. All right, so we're going to go back into this. All right, we got a new MCP server. Use this MCP server. Oh, yep. All right, so tell me the top 5 most popular posts on the System Crafters forum. Let's see if we can do this. Topics latest. Okay, don't ask again. There you go. There's a bunch of topics. There you go. Based on the latest topics, here are the top 5 most popular by views. Welcome to System Crafters Forum. So there you go. I mean, we basically went from 0 to having a client library and an MCP server that talks to Discourse I don't know, what was that, 10 minutes? Maybe 15? I don't know. That's basically how it goes, is you just tell it what to do, and it just sprinkles a little bit of magic and gets it done. The top endpoint might return different results ranked based on Discourse's own popularity algorithm. Want me to try that? Sure. What else? What else would be good to do? I could try to create a post. Create a new topic on the forum saying... Wait, hold on. It wants to add a new tool now. First of all, create... Go ahead and just do all edits. Create repositories in the Sigil org on Codeberg for these repos and push them. Then create a new topic on the forum to announce that we created the library and MCP server on today's stream. So it's basically adding a new feature while I'm telling it to do something else. All right, it's gonna build it again. Uh-oh. Got a little bit of an error there. And what did we try to build that time? Binary's locked because MCP server is running. Oh, you're right. MCP. Let's take that out so that it's not in use. Come on. What's it doing now? Okay, so it did it again. But do you not believe that it worked? Is that what's happening here? Does update because the compile cache matched, the bundle was rebuilt successfully. Yes. So MCP, re-enable parlor. Go ahead. This will be done in a minute. All right, so we're creating both the new repositories. If you go to the Sigil thing, we can already see Parlor and Discourse are here. All right, we're not giving Claude credit here. Do not mention Claude or AI agents in the commit messages. Why? Because I said so. That's why. So wait a second. Make sure to add .env. Wait, is that right? Go ahead. Yeah, no mention of that because Claude isn't paying for it. That's right. I'm paying for it. So it doesn't get to take credit for my money, my work. All right, we're pushing the Discourse. Did it make a README or not? It needs to force push. Yes. So we're going to force push. Did you create READMEs? Make some READMEs. Yes, do that, please. There we go. There's one. There's two. We're amending commits. pushing. What happened? Oh, do we have pin entry stop, pin entry start? Is that why? Okay. Remote origin already exists. Okay, fix it. There it is. All right, so we got, oh, what did you do? You pushed it to the wrong repository, buddy. Hold up, wait. Yeah, Parler remote is pointing to the wrong repo. Yes, fix it. It figured it out on its own, at least. See, it makes mistakes at times. It hasn't done that before. Imagine it like force pushing on the wrong repo. In a case where it actually matters. Okay, so Parler is in the right place. All right, that all looks good. And then Sigil Discourse. It has not been fixed yet, but it will be now. Yeah, Git can actually save you from that kind of problem, so that's good. No, it doesn't. Now it's just making itself look foolish here. What the hell? I think it just figures it out based on what it's seeing. Yes, that's what happened. All right, now we got the right one here. Good. Now, make the post. Categories list. General. Pick general. Topics create. I can't even really see that, but fine. I'll trust it that it knows what it's saying. New sigil libraries, forum.systemcrafters.net. Where is it? There you go. New sigil library. Sigil Discourse and Parler. Discourse API and client MCP server. There you go. So now we've posted something with it. So there you go. I mean, it works. Are you scared yet? Are you worried? Do you see now why what skill you have as a programmer may not really be relevant anymore, and it's more relevant how you know how to use these tools, because everybody else is going to be using them, and the whole industry is going to be like going light speed towards a lot of crap, that's for sure. I mean, like, there's going to be a lot of crap created with all these tools, but it's kind of the way that things are going forward. Complete with M dashes. That's right. Look at that. Look at those delicious AI M dashes right there. I didn't have a chance to put in any kind of editing, or sorry, like non-AI notes so that it doesn't do that. But yes, learn to use the tools. Learn to use the tools because they're useful, but at the same time, like, people are not going to be writing code by hand very much unless it's just for like a hobby. Just like people like to make chairs from wood with their hands. They don't do that for jobs really unless they charge a lot of money for it. I don't think people are going to really care about handcrafted artisan software so much. Maybe they will, who knows? Except for maybe in very specific niches where it's really important for a person to have pored over every single line of code. But in most cases, I think that software is just going to be written by AI at this point. So, Infreak says, AI LLMs will keep security relevant for years. Yes, however, I think it will get pretty good at figuring this stuff out itself. So just wait. It's going to be doing all the hacking on its own. Yes, that's right. Peter says there's a lot of crap without AI too. Hopefully quality will float upwards. Well, most of the software that I write is crap. So at least AI can make it shinier crap. so that everyone can enjoy it, right? Adi says, which skills do you think are going to be needed in it, like software design, LLM prompt optimizations? No, you don't need prompt optimizations anymore. Prompt engineering is no longer a thing. What people say is context engineering is the thing, but even that is not a thing anymore, because now with Opus 4.6, you have 1 million tokens in the context window. And in my experience over the last week or two using it, I rarely see autocompact happen. Now, the quality degrades over time with the, if you like build up a lot of context, so you do need to sort of understand how to use context effectively, but even that still isn't a thing anymore. Right now, basically, you just tell it what to do, and have some insight, have some technical insight to be able to guide it. Like I caught it making a stupid mistake with a hyphen versus underscore. Like I just kind of knew that the API would probably expect an underscore instead. So things like that, just like kind of knowing how software works, knowing how architecture works, knowing how things get deployed, that can speed up the whole process, but still, like, it knows a lot and it does a lot on its own. So I don't know, man. Just get used to the tools and build some stuff with it and get your mind blown, but then start thinking about how you can leverage that to, you know, build the things that you want to make. Julian says, very impressive, but it's a race to the bottom when anyone can code. Yes, like I said, software basically has no value anymore. Only the value that you ascribe to it for the software that you want to create for your own needs, right? So software is for everyone now. Anybody can make software. So maybe that's a good thing in a way, but still you have to pay somebody else to have the intelligence to write it for you. So I don't know. Let's see what happens. Local models might be the thing. Infree says, do you have to tell Claude to analyze the main code every time? No, it does it itself. It can't be caching thousands and thousands of lines. No, it looks over them on its own, whatever it needs. It will go look over it. When you go into plan mode, it basically just like scans over all the files it thinks are relevant and gets the information that it needs to then act on it. Auntie says, the elephant in the room is credentials and encryption. Like, how can you avoid leaks or the AI pushing those? It's getting a lot better at it. It's starting to recognize when those things happen now and catch it in advance. That's the thing that's going to get solved, I think. All these things that are problems today are going to be solved in 6 months or less. I just feel like it's... the rate that this stuff is developing is so fast. Like 3 months ago, it was good, but now it's way better. So, like, I don't know. Give it a year and it's just gonna do everything. It's gonna do everything. Maybe even 6 months. I don't know. Like, just get ready. Get ready. Like, all these concerns people have are gonna evaporate pretty soon. Except for the fact that, you know, uses a lot of electricity and maybe not very good for the environment. Those things can't be avoided. But the the concerns about the quality of the code that it produces, I think all that's gonna evaporate. Anyway, I'm late. I gotta go. I don't know. I hope that was interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, this is all I'm doing now is just like working on building things with Claude. I know it kind of seems weird for this channel for me to do that, but if people want to see more stuff like this or me just building things with Sigil and kind of seeing what we can do, let me know, because I have a hard time thinking of topics that are system crafters related anymore because all of it just seems moot at this point, to be honest. Anyway, thank you all for being here. Sorry that I have been absent so much recently. I'll probably be absent again the week after next, but we'll see how it goes. But thank you all again for your time and attention. Hope you all have a great weekend. Until next time, happy hacking. See ya.